Good morning, Sea of Galilee. This is our hotel, the Ron Beach. Everybody has a seaside view. Somebody's already down swimming this morning. And there's the sunrise over the Golden Heights, which Jesus saw every morning. There's the birds flying back to their roosts. And that is the whole area where Jesus lived and did all of his ministry, right along that shore. And I can see two fishermen coming in right there. Fishing boats coming in this morning. That's Peter, Andrew, James, and John out there. The sun will be cresting in just a moment. And here we are at the wonderful Ron Beach Hotel, but this is the restaurant part. And everybody's down. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Everybody's grabbing all the food, eggs and fruit and salads and cheeses. Very nice spread here at the Ron Beach. We're getting a good early start today because we have to get up to the top of Mount Tabor early. Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody's loading up on our two buses. It's 10 minutes to 7. Even Nick's on time today. We leave early. So if anybody's not on the bus, we leave at 7, even if they're not here. Here's our great bus driver, David.
And we're taking the first day of our pilgrimage. We're heading out to Mount Transfiguration. We'll hit Cana in Galilee, and we'll also hit Nazareth. So we're looking forward to it.
Here we are, ready to go. This is 1,900 feet high. This is where Jesus brought the disciples, took them up to the top and was transfigured. It's also where he brought them at the end in Matthew 28 to give them the Great Commission, go into all the world and baptize. He took them up here. We'll talk about that as well. Yeah.
This all the way up to Tabor.
Yes.
But he did it.
He did it.
Good shape.
There's a marked path. The ride up Mount Tabor is always exciting. Here we get off the taxis and we take a short walk, and there is the Church of the Transfiguration. We all arrived for Mass at 8 o'clock. We got up very quickly and looked forward to this great Mass. Mass at the Church of the Transfiguration on top of Mount Tabor.
In a resplendent cloud, the Holy Spirit appeared on this holy mountain. Listen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. The Lord be with you. And with your spirit.
Churches started to be built. We speak of a church, the ruins of which I pointed to under that platform where I was standing before Mass started. And I said in 350 we already had a little chapel here that commemorates the place of the Transfiguration. How do we know? Because the locals been coming over here, and when we had the chance to build a church, we built it right there. Christianity was a very small group at the time, but we were surprised in a very good way that the faith has grown so much. How do we know? Archaeologists that excavated this place, and you know, those archaeologists are not secular archaeologists, those are the Franciscans who excavated most of the sites in the Holy Land, by the way.
In Egypt, they were under the authority of the Pharaoh, who represents the devil. They were in Egypt, which represents the world, and slavery represents sin, the three enemies of the Christian. How did they get out of Egypt? By the Passover lamb. And then they went through the waters of the Red Sea with a cloud above them, water and spirit. And they came into the wilderness and they were hungry, and he struck the rock and gave them water, and the rock was Christ. And then they gave them the manna to eat, which is the picture of the Eucharist. And Moses leads them on an exodus out of Egypt, around and into the promised land. I think the reason Moses and Elijah is here is because they're passing on the baton to the new Moses. They're saying, we brought it this far, Lord. Now you take it the rest of the way. And they're discussing the new exodus that's going to take place that starts in Jerusalem, where Jesus is going to be the Passover lamb. And he's going to die, and his blood is going to cover our sins. And then they're going to go through the waters of baptism. Water and the Spirit. Jesus went in the Jordan River, water and Spirit. This is how we get born again. And we go through the waters, and we come out into the wilderness of this life. And what do we have for our meal? The food of the journey, the Eucharist. And then eventually he's going to bring us around to the promised land where we're going to come in. You know, the word Jesus and Joshua are the same names. One's in Hebrew and one's in Greek. Jesus is Greek for Joshua in Hebrew. So Jesus is the Joshua who's going to then bring us across the Jordan into the promised land of heaven.
To remember the first miracle, the first sign of Christ at the wedding feast of his friends at Cana of Galilee. At the request of his mother, Jesus ensured the happy beginning of his friends' life together as husband and wife by changing water into wine. In a similar manner, God blesses the love of man and woman in marriage so that their love may be the source of blessing for them. Renew and reaffirm my wedding vows to you. Now this is just the husbands. Just the husbands. Once again I promise. To love and honor you. In good times and in bad. In sickness and in health. For better or for worse. All the days of my life. Wives, repeat after me. I renew and reaffirm. My wedding vows to you. Once again I promise. To love and honor you. In good times and in bad. God has joined together, let no one set apart. I'm going to bless the rings. You don't have to take them off, okay? The Lord be with you.
You may now kiss the bride. After that very moving wedding renewals, marriage renewals at Cana, we boarded the bus and we headed towards Nazareth. And here we are. You can see Nazareth in the distance. It's actually over this hill. And we arrived in time for lunch at the YMCA, believe it or not. But it was a great lunch at a great restaurant to eat with a big group. After an authentic meal of grilled lamb and chicken, we enjoyed very much. We got back on the bus, and here we are walking now through the streets of Jerusalem, heading up to the church. Through the streets of Nazareth now, heading up to the Church of the Annunciation. And that's our group all walking all up along the sidewalk here. All the way up.
Up until then, we had a smaller church, of which I have pictures, of course. But in 1964...
We're now at Amherst Parish Church, the Church of Annunciation here in Nazareth, the largest church basilica in the Middle East, with a whole story of the Annunciation right there. We are now at the cave where the angel met Mary and said, "Hail Mary, full of grace." He actually didn't say Mary, he said, "Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with you." So our pilgrims are all coming down now, and we're praying that mystery of the Rosary, of the Annunciation, at the very place where those words were spoken, right there 2,000 years ago when Mary was about 15 years old. The altar inside says, "The Word became flesh here." A 5-minute walk brings us to the Church of St. Joseph, the home of the Holy
So now I have
Family.
a question. You wake up in the morning, the Holy Family, after she wakes Jesus and Joseph up. When you get up in the morning, what do you think the first thing the Holy Family did in the morning when they got up? Parade. That's what everybody says. Now let me ask you, what's the first thing you do in the morning when you get up? Yeah, go into the bathroom. Exactly. We have this super spiritual kind of a view of the Holy Family, that they weren't human or they weren't quite like us, that they were kind of maybe floating 3 feet off the ground. But the reality is that when they woke up in the morning, they also had to use the bathroom first. And where do you go to the bathroom when you don't have any plumbing in your cave? You have to go outside and find a place to go to the bathroom. You don't think of the Blessed Mother like that too often, do you?
I love all of the very spiritual icons of the Holy Family, but I have to admit, of Joseph, this is my favorite painting. Shows him as he really was, as a tough Jewish carpenter. This is the area below the church, right above the cave where the Holy Family lived. And I love bringing people here to see how rustic they lived under the ground in a cave. Only about 25 caves in Nazareth at the time. And then we show them all of the underground areas, and here's our buses ready to go back to our hotel in Tiberias. On the first full day, we planned to give people some free time in the afternoon to enjoy the Sea of Galilee and just to catch up after jet lag and to kind of process all the things we've learned. So we go back and people went swimming, had a glass of wine on the beach, and just enjoyed the whole ambiance of this wonderful hotel, the Ron Beach. Here we are getting off the bus and going into the hotel. We had a great dinner as well, and people really were able to relax and enjoy the evening. It was a great day, and we can't wait for tomorrow, where we're going to be heading up north to the Golan Heights and Caesarea Philippi and seeing other sites along the Sea of Galilee.